Today we're making a caramelized tomato tarte tatin, one of my favorite dishes. We're going to make a homemade puff pastry, which might seem daunting. It's a simple process. It just takes a few steps and takes a little bit of time. So let's start with the flour. We need about 500 mils. Pinch of salt. I need to mix the lemon juice and ice water together and cut that in to the dry ingredients. So keep moving the knife back and forth until it starts forming a dough and comes together quite nicely. And if you feel that it's a little bit dry, rather add more ice water at this point. Now we're going to turn it out onto the counter so that we can work it into a dough. And just work it with your hands till it comes together. Before I add the butter, I need to roll it out into a bit of a rectangular shape. So we need a drop of flour and just gently roll it out, making the ends a little bit thinner than the middle. All the time ensuring that you've got extra flour. So you want to cut the butter into quite thick slices. And the colder it is, the better and easier it is to work with. Now the beauty about puff pastry is that it's the butter that makes it rise beautifully. And now we need to bring that dough together, kind of like an envelope, that you enclose the butter completely. Now the first rolling is just to roll it with the butter inside, just to soften it slightly. Then I want to fold it inwards here and underneath this way for the first part. Now we roll with these big pieces of butter. So don't be worried if you see the butter popping out like it is, because each time you roll, so it gets incorporated into the dough. So keep it in the shape of a square or rectangle. So that's perfect for the first stage, and now what we want to do is wrap it in some plastic wrap, put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes, and then do the next roll. The filling for this tart is exceptionally simple with beautiful fresh tomatoes. But first, into the pan goes some butter, treacle brown sugar, and a little bit of balsamic vinegar. We want to let that caramelize until the sugar's melted. Right, so I'm going to add my tomatoes, and they're whole so that they don't burst open and cause too much juice in this tart. A little bit of salt and pepper. Sprinkle that with your oregano. Turn off the stove and set it aside to cool while we roll out the pastry. This has been in the fridge for about 30 minutes. It's chilled. I can feel that it's starting to get really nice and cold. So we can do our first turn. We want to just flour the surface. Now we want to fold it once this way and once underneath that way, and then roll it. Now each time you roll, that butter is going to be distributed more and more evenly into the dough. I like to do one more fold on top and underneath. You need to let the dough rest for about 30 minutes in the fridge and then repeat the whole process again to evenly distribute the butter and watch the changing nature of the pastry. You'll probably need to do it about 12 times to get lots of layers so that it puffs up beautifully. So now we're ready to assemble our tarte tatin. The pastry's ready. It's changed color completely. My butter is incorporated beautifully inside, and it's ready to roll. we want to roll it to the size of the dish that we're using. You always want to make the pastry a little bit bigger to allow for shrinkage. So I like to measure it like that and just cut it a little bit bigger than what you need. Now with puff pastry, you never want to roll it too much because you're going to lose that beautiful puff that you've given the pastry. And my filling has cooled completely. Now the whole secret about a tarte tatin is that the pastry goes on top, it bakes like that, and then it's inverted, so your pastry goes onto the bottom. Now to get that pastry onto our tomatoes, we want to fold it once in the middle and once again, and then use that point to open it out. That works quite well. Tuck it in so that it makes almost like a little cup on the edges. Never cut off the edges. You want that border to avoid it dropping. And then I need a little air hole for steam to escape. Now we don't need to brush it because it's going to be on the underneath side. So all we need to do is bake it for about 20 minutes in a 200-degree oven. My pastry's puffed up beautifully, and as with every tarte tatin, it needs to be inverted immediately. So the underneath plate is very hot. Be sure to use an oven glove, and you want to invert it so that it doesn't stick to the pie dish. It should plop up perfectly, which it has. It's gorgeous, absolutely perfect, and it just needs a few sprigs of oregano. And there you have it, our delicious tomato tarte tatin.